One is the loneliest number that you ever do. It's the loneliest number since zero. It's getting pretty boring around here. I mean, I've been feeling pretty lonely, and I've got this new kick-ass background that I don't have anyone to share it with, and I just really wish that I had a review buddy again. Maybe I can use some of my magical YouTube powers to summon a review buddy. Let's give this a try. Boom shakalaka shushka gala shishkaba. Nope. I guess it's just gonna be me again. All right. Well, welcome again to. Oh my God! Thor's back! Oh my
God! Police came across another grisly murder scene last night.
Wait, I want to hear that.
The walls covered in satanic symbols.
Another gruesome, ritualistic murder claimed the lives of 6 people last night following a heavy metal concert
That local religious groups were protesting. This is supposed to scare other people, not us.
As you can see, my amazing YouTube powers worked because we now have Thor back, who has been on a bit of a hiatus. Welcome back, Thor.
Thank you.
Very
happy to be here.
Very happy to have you back. Anything exciting happening in your life recently?
No, just lots of work and, that kind of stuff. So sorry I haven't been around, guys. I'm really happy to be back. And yeah, we're really happy to get going with this movie review that we have.
And Halloween is just around the corner. So we're obviously excited about that. And we're going to do some plugging here because Thor actually just went out to the store and she bought some of those amazing pumpkin pie Twinkies that I've been craving ever since the beginning of this month. And I might get diabetes by the end of this month because those look amazing.
They're actually not bad. They're actually pretty heavy on the pumpkin spice. So yeah, if you're basic like me, go for it, bitches.
I'm the biggest basic bitch.
He really is.
But yeah, so welcome to another episode of Round the Clock Frights, guys. And today, we're here to talk about an original Netflix movie called We Summon the Darkness. Directed by Mark Myers, whose name sounds specific or suspiciously like Mike Myers.
Yeah, that would have just been too cool.
Not Michael Myers, but Mike Myers, the star of the critically acclaimed movie The Cat in the Hat.
Ew.
So, Thor, what was your interest in We Summon the Darkness? What made you want to watch this movie?
Well, a couple of things. One, kind of liked the vibe I was getting from the trailers and stuff like that, and two, Alexandra Daddario.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I like her. I think she's cool. So I was like, why not? It would be fun to watch it. And plus, Netflix has been having a little bit of success lately with the horror movies that they've been coming out with as original features. So I figured, why not start diving into it since we're not able to go to a actual movie theater, and most of the horror movies that we've been looking forward to have been delayed until 2021. Yes. So great time to take a chance on some little known fare or start doing a deep dive into the things that you know you love. I love horror comedy. This looked like it was going to be hilarious and a blast, so decided to go ahead and take a look at it.
Yes, and you're a fan of other Netflix horror films like The Babysitter, right?
Oh, yeah. Not because I think they're necessarily scary. I'm not like, over them. It's more because they're fun to watch.
Right. So the biggest attraction for me, as far as this film was concerned, was Alexandra Daddario. I'm not going to lie, I have a bit of a crush on her.
She's on your hall pass.
Yes, she is. I'd like to put her on my hall pass. She's a very talented actress. I've liked her in a ton of stuff. Even when she was in True Detective, I thought she was very good in that. But when I watched the trailer, this looked like another instance of these really fun, likable girls coming together to defeat this, dark force of evil, or these dark forces of evil. I thought this was going to be a very enjoyable, kick-ass action comedy where you're rooting for these girls to, conquer the people who have wronged them. But as we learn...
Hold on. Spoilers.
Yes, as we learn, there is a little bit of a twist, and we're going to get into some plot details. We're not going to describe the entire film because we want you to experience it for yourselves. But be warned, spoilers. So, the first thing that I got to say is that the trailer was very, very misleading, and I'm sure they thought they were being very clever because the film was advertised like that. Mm-hmm. It kind of painted it as this film where these characters would get together and, stop these evildoers. But as we learn, these girls are the antagonists of the movie, and their purpose is to murder people and make it seem like they are part of a satanic cult. But they are actually very dedicated Christians who are trying to scare people back into going to church. So that is the premise of this movie. What did you think of that angle? Was it captivating enough for you?
I think that the angle was really interesting, and I was looking forward to see how they went with it. I think the execution on this movie was where it lacked. Don't get me wrong. I think Alexandra Daddario is a very talented actress, but that did not shine through here.
Yes.
So angle, thumbs up. I'd like to see somebody take this a little bit further. But yeah, the premise is great. Execution, which we'll be getting into, a little bit lacking.
Here's to a night that we're going to remember for years to come.
Here, here.
My brothers and sisters, the evil that is heavy metal rock music is unwavering in its goal to corrupt our children's souls.
Girls, be careful now. There's a lot of evil out there.
You don't think we can fend for ourselves?
As far as these Netflix horror movies, they seem to be following the same formula as Blumhouse Productions, where you have these films that have very small budgets. They're often set in maybe one or two locations, but you can still do some very creative things with them.
Oh, yeah.
And Blumhouse has done this many times. And, honestly, I would describe this film as kind of a big missed opportunity, because some of the pieces were there. The idea that they weren't just a satanic cult, that they thought that they were very good people, doing this, for a noble cause. I actually kind of liked that angle.
Yeah.
Here's where the problem lies. And I said this so many times throughout the movie. This movie needed some serious rewrites, because
oh my God,
some of the performances were so misguided. Like Alexandra Daddario. Okay. So you find out that she is the ringleader. She's the one who has convinced these two girls to murder these evildoers, these metalheads, these Satan worshippers. And
the guys were never Satan worshippers. They were just an opportunity. The
problem lies with her performance, because she is the central lead. And when you do discover that she is crazy, she plays it as a cartoonish psychopath. She has the bulging eyes, she has the big smile, and honestly,
just do it.
In my personal opinion, and I think you agreed with me on this kind of performance should have been a little bit more subtle and more zealous. Not zealous in the way where she's over the top and cartoonish, but very devoted and serious. And
yes.
She didn't play it like that. She played it like a cartoon character.
And the thing is that there were several times in the movie where she was trying to be intimidating, and she just didn't come off as intimidating. She came off as laughable. So basic plot points, just so that we have those there. Girls go to a heavy metal concert, meet three guys, take them back to their place, drug the three guys, and then murderness ensues. And it's the girls trying to kill these guys. They belong to this cult that every so often sends these girls out to get victims, kill them, make it look like it's a satanic cult doing this in order to drive people back to religion and to church, so that way, because they're terrified for their souls, they don't know what's happening, and anytime somebody's scared, they're going to try and find familiarity. They were trying to push this, and it just did not make sense the way they played it, especially since once the girls let their facade of, we're metalheads and we're totally there. Once they let that drop, they still acted in this fake character that they had built, these personas that they had built in order to attract these guys from the concert. So they were still cursing a lot. They were still, acting very promiscuous. They weren't acting like people who had been literally brainwashed into believing that murdering others was the will of God, and they were following the will of God. They didn't have that change in the character. It was the same throughout. So I think that was a huge missed opportunity.
They start off as kind of promiscuous and, kind of crazy, and when the facade drops and they reveal themselves as psychopaths, there's no transformation.
None. Even if they did a gradual one, it would have been better.
And look, here's the thing. So this movie was marketed as more of a horror comedy, and
Yeah.
if
It was funny.
If the thought process was, okay, it's a horror comedy, so we got to give these very zany, over-the-top performances, okay, I can kind of understand that. But to me, it would have been more clever if the girls had, put on that facade, that they were very promiscuous and crazy, and then when the facade drops, they're actually very serious and, dedicated to their religion. And I just
Yeah.
thought that would have made for more clever commentary. And
It also
the humor
could have
didn't.
done good humor at that point.
The humor wasn't good enough to back it up, in my opinion.
As far as the shots, as far as the technical aspect of it, had a couple of good practical effects. Of course, most of them were just, stab wounds and blood and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Some of the characters made some smart choices as far as, what they were grabbing as far as weaponry and how to get, to safety and things like that. Some of them made very stupid choices. Never give up your weapon.
And what were you saying during the movie, that every time this movie did something kind of clever, they did
Yeah.
something stupid,
Okay,
like 2
so-
seconds later?
So one of the at the beginning of the movie, we had this, 3 girls in a car driving to a concert, and they were talking and stuff like that. And you realize by looking around you that we were in the 80s.
Yeah.
They didn't say anything. You realized by looking around you that you were in the Midwest. You did not have somebody forcing that to you through exposition or through some kind of tagline. I thought that was clever. And then as soon as they got to the venue for the concert, you spent 15 minutes, it felt like, with these 3 girls and these 3 guys talking.
Knowing this movie's premise,
With no motivation.
Boys, do you want to have a threesome with us?
How many more children must die in Satan's name?
Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.
It is not too late. Join me in this fight. Incinerate these demons and send them back to hell.
Hey, I know you. I'm the wrath of God.
And I do have some things to say about the first 20 minutes of this movie, but here's another thing. Knowing this movie's premise now, I think they played their cards a little bit too early, because you hear these news broadcasts talking about the satanic murders taking place. So the girls are set up as the protagonists initially, but they have a bumper sticker that says Lord Lucifer. So it's a little bit confusing at first. Like, wait a minute.
Well, back in the 80s, you had a lot of people who were doing that kind of stuff with Kiss, with a lot of the metal things. That was just something common. It was something to deal with. I mean, if you showed up at a heavy metal concert and you didn't have some of those tags on your car,
right,
you would have been looking at it like, huh? The thing that made me say, okay, something's wrong here, was when the girls that were supposed to be diehard metalheads didn't know anything about heavy metal. One of them did. The rest of them were making so many mistakes when it came to talking about the music that they were supposed to be experienced in, that it was ridiculous. And you could obviously see through them being complete posers. And yeah.
Maybe an argument can be made that the screenwriter did it on purpose. Like, they wanted to make these girls seem like they weren't knowledgeable about, anything, that they didn't do enough research. They're pretending to be these metalheads, but they obviously don't really know what they're talking about. So maybe that was the intention, but
that gives it away too early, like you were saying.
Yeah. And another thing too, so this movie is set during the 80s, and thankfully they didn't really have much of that overbearing exposition, talking about how it's the 80s, oh my god, isn't it so great we live in this decade, it's the 80s, things are not going to get much better than this. I'm so glad they didn't do that shit. It is really so overdone. But here's another thing. So as far as, and I might be wrong in this, so correct me on this, as far as satanic scares, didn't that happen more in the 1970s? Because you had films like The Exorcist and The Omen, and there were all these reports about people being very fearful of Satanism. So maybe this movie would have been a little bit more effective if it was set in the 70s. But here's one more thing.
I would have to disagree, but go ahead.
Here's one more thing I have to say about that. So they were also trying to pay homage to certain rock and roll horror comedies that came out in the 80s, like the classic movie Trick or Treat with the Tongue himself, Gene Simmons, and also Rock and Roll Nightmare. So It's almost like they were trying to have their cake and eat it too, but I think it would have been more appropriate if they had said it during the 70s.
I have to disagree with you because
Okay.
during the 80s, there was this huge wave of people being afraid of Satanism and
Was there?
satanic messages in music. The
Okay.
whole idea of if you do spin a record backwards, you would hear messages from Satan was something that was common for Kiss.
Okay.
So being that whole satanic thing didn't really come to a head until early to mid 80s, as far as being afraid of the music driving cult worshippers and all that kind of stuff. So it was appropriately set, in my opinion.
Okay.
Especially when you remember that The Exorcist came out in the late 70s.
Yeah, it was like...
So it didn't really touch...
Well, no, that was 73.
It was 73?
Yeah, The Omen was like 78, I think. Or
I
76.
think I'm thinking The Omen.
The Omen? Okay.
Okay. But a lot of that whole we're fearful of Satanism is when you had bands like Kiss, Twisted Sister, Megadeth, Metallica becoming a common part of the teenage world.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh my God, Satan.
Okay, see, I wasn't alive in the 80s, so that's good to know.
What are you trying to say? Just joking.
I'm trying to say that I am jealous that I didn't get to experience that period because, damn, the 80s had some kick-ass music that I didn't get to grow up with, god damn it.
So with this also, let's see, I do have to give a shout out, surprisingly, to the one person that presented his character in the right way, gave us a solid performance, a consistent performance to where he was good all the way through. And I'm having trouble saying this, was Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah. At first I was a little uncertain, like, Johnny Knoxville as the main antagonist in this movie, but he's gotten older now and he has kind of the skeletal face, like his cheeks have kind of sunken in.
Yeah.
And there are certain shots in this movie where he does look kind of intimidating and he got it. He played the character well. He wasn't over the top. He was actually kind of calm and measured.
Yes, and that made him scarier.
Yes.
Not that this movie was scary at all. Don't
No.
think that it had any fear. The few jump scares were like, was that supposed to be a jump scare?
Right. Like the one male character who kind of resembled a Jonas brother. The lead male character, he approaches one of the girls with some beer in his hand, and it's supposed to be like this shocking moment.
They just bump into each other, and I look at him and go, "Is that supposed to be a jump scare?"
Yeah,
I think so.
But Johnny Knoxville did give the most consistent performance in this movie.
Why are the police here?
I honestly think if they had taken Alexandria Daddario's character and made her a little bit more like Johnny Knoxville's character, it would have been better. But instead, she gave this manic performance that I don't think would have fit somebody who truly believed what she was believing.
Right.
The other things that I did like is you could see a couple of homage shots, some shots that look like they were lifted from like The Howling and from The Evil Dead.
Mm-hmm.
So those were very cleverly placed. Definitely, there were some very bright points to this movie. It's just that so much of the second half and so much of these splices, like you'd have something very, very clever, very well done, and then all of a sudden you're like, why are we... what?
Good riddance.
So, overall thoughts?
Overall thoughts, it was an interesting premise that I think could have been served better with better writing and a little bit more dedication to the premise itself instead of just throwing it out there and having it be, let's, just forget about it 2 seconds in.
It needed some rewrites. There were just some missed opportunities. Like, there were certain setups that I thought were going to have better payoffs. Like, I thought they were going to subvert our expectations a little bit, especially with the stepmother character.
Oh, yeah. That was so predictable.
Yeah, no, for the most part, it was pretty, predictable. And the ending, there's kind of a funny shot, like, near the end. I don't want to spoil it, but it's basically what happens to Alexandra Daddario's character. I thought that was kind of amusing.
That was amusing.
But Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's like I said, it had so much promise.
Mm-hmm. So overall, had a lot of promise. It just needed some work done on the script, maybe a couple more rewrites, and
maybe a little bit of a different direction.
Mm-hmm. Its heart was in the right place.
Yes.
And I do appreciate Netflix giving these indie filmmakers more of an opportunity, to work with these bigger names. And I appreciate that they're doing that. And
not every horror movie has to be this masterpiece work of art kind of thing. Some of them you just sit down and you just go for the ride and enjoy it. Yeah. Even with all the issues on it, it was still enjoyable. It was fun.
We do make an attempt to find the good things in these horror movies. We don't want to just rip a movie apart unless it really deserves it, like something like The Turning.
Oh God.
Or The Grudge 2020. Check out those reviews, by the way. They are on our channel. Those were movies that just crushed our spirits. They made us want to jump out a nearby window. And
only if it was on the first floor. I'd never take that seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't let those movies win. We have to be stronger than that.
Yes.
But yes, guys, thank you so much for joining us in our discussion of We Summon the Darkness. If any of the filmmakers are watching this review, just know that
we still love you.
We still love you, and we want to see more works done by you. But guys, thank you so much again. We're very excited about the month of October. We have some pretty big, creepy things in the works, so we're very excited to get started on that. Oh, and I got to show you something. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
He's very proud.
Flame on. That is so cool.
And don't forget to join us next time when we are going to be reviewing Eat Locals.
Another indie horror movie on Amazon?
Yes.
Cool.
On Amazon Prime.
Yes. And guys, thank you again for joining us. Enjoy this image of Chucky looking totally lit as fuck. And if you like this, please subscribe to our channel. We do have a lot of fun making these. Yep. And stay scary, boils and ghouls. And I'm happy to have you back, Thor. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.